Hello and welcome. This is Full Metal Brotherhood. I'm just wanted to show off the power of the Nergal, as this will be a pretty exciting episode. Where at the end, it's I won't spoil it. We'll watch it and I'll show you as we go. So, pretty standard load-in, tier 8s, tier 7s, tier 6s. Obviously very favorable, especially for a tank like the Nergal. This tank, I would argue, boasts very good armor when used properly. And it can be very bouncy armor if the enemies are being lazy and shooting at it. And we'll see examples of that at the start of this battle. In terms of mods that I'm using, I'm just kind of using some more user interface mods. Like a high caliber one just calculates roughly what I need to get high caliber. The W8 one on the top middle, or excuse me, the right middle, probably don't necessarily use. I don't really use it all that often. And then I enjoy to use another mod that just shows how many I spot per battle, as well as a better damage received panel. And an ability to put the map in the middle of the screen, kind of like Ayuksen, if you're familiar with him. So I decided not to go ice road, as I didn't think I could get as good as a hard corner as this tank kind of really needs. An unfortunate miss shot right there. I aimed a bit low, and decided that I knew I could get a much better corner here, and if I can get a corner with this Nergal, this tank becomes very strong, especially with people that don't necessarily know how to deal with it. And Nergal's been out for a good bit now. Quick little snapshot there. I'll say something in that second, but Nergal's been out for a while, so people are getting more used to it. However, still plenty of people that, like the Challenger did, either missed or they aimed for the tracks thinking they can pen through it, and they just never can. So back to the snapshot I was talking about earlier. This tank will hit snapshots unusually well, especially for the stats that it boasts. It doesn't seem like it should, however, it does a very good job at hitting snapshots. Obviously not all the time. And at this point I'm pretty focused on the Challengers. I know this Challenger and the KV-5 to my right are the two tanks I need to worry about right now, as they are both tier 8s, or excuse me, Challenger's tier 7, I was looking at the Centurion. The Challenger can pen me, as he already has with his standard round, so he's a threat, and the KV-5 is another very well-armored tank, especially when my gold only boasts a 250, 252, I believe, pen, and my standard's a 208. So I'm constantly looking to see what that KV-5 is doing. He seems to be pretty focused on my two teammates over there, so I'm trying to keep this Challenger away from everyone else. I realize at this moment I need to move up. There's no one else that's going to be looking in front of me besides the Challenger, potentially a VK or the T-34. And as we see, the T-34 shows up, but the VK is now in our base. So I get a nice shot in the KV-5 here. Realize the Challenger's looking at me. Try to turn. I don't get a nice angle enough to block a shot, but then I'm able to sneak a shot of damage in while the KV-5 is finished off by a teammate. I notice the E-25 behind us taking out our IS-2M, but I realized this T-34 is more important. It was going to chase me down, and had I turned around to try and help my teammate, so I focus him, knowing that I can pen him basically everywhere. In fact, I thought, and you'll see why, I thought I could pen him anywhere, so I use auto aim, and I'm going to use auto aim right here. I would have, but decided to shoot the E-25 as I figured he was a bigger threat, a little rascal that he is. I shoot there, and I see a little flicker in what I'm aiming at afterwards. Is because I wasn't expecting to be bounced by the T-34. So that threw me off, so I decided to finish off the E-25 as he's still in front of me, and then finish off this T-34 as he's the last one in front of me. So at this point it's a 2v5. We're down, from what I can see, 3,000 hit points. right? I don't know the health of the other tanks that are outside of my render range. And at this point, I could have pushed to their base or gone back to our base, and I prefer to go back and protect my cap prior to, or in lieu of going and trying to take their cap, especially when they have 5 tanks, and now it's an actual 1v5 situation where I am the only one left on our team. Knowing this, I'm like, okay, my goal is to get to B3, C3 kind of an area, try and get on top of that hill, protect our cap, and hold out there, so that way I can entrench myself. No one will be able to sneak up behind me if I'm on top of the hill, because they won't be able to climb the hill from the backside. They all have to come at me from the front. I'll be able to angle my tracks at a 45 or a 30 degree, either way, to simply block my lower plate and try and bait enemies into shooting my tracks by doing a little bit of a wiggle. So at this point, I assume these guys are going to push into my cap, as they're all last seen on a nice road or the north. So I'm being very cautious, trying to look in front of me. I don't really think they're going to show up from the F4 kind of area, as that would have been a longer way around. The Centurion spots me out. I'm like, okay, it makes sense. I figured he was going to be probably somewhere around there. Didn't know if he'd be up there or not. Get a nice little snapshot, as you can see. And my goal is to just keep pushing in, because if I stop out in the open, I can get swarmed, and I very much don't want to do that. I see the Centurion is somewhat dropped down, but not all the way, so I just like, okay, I have to keep going. I have to get to somewhere safe. Notice the Centurion falls all the way down. I'm like, okay, I can address him now. He's ousted himself from being in a better position. So I need to push into him while I still can, and try and get the rest of his HP so I can get back on top of the hill without showing him my rear. I unfortunately make a slight judgment error there and shoot at his cupola instead of his front. VK comes in, I angle my turret, my tank as he comes in and try and get a ricochet, and I succeeded, and then I was able to finish off the Centurion. Again, I'm angling my turret there, get a lucky bounce off the M4, I didn't know it was in front of me, and then the VK behind me doing kind of a double bounce off a double 45. Now with this M4 in front of me, I'm not terribly concerned. He's not much of a threat in this situation. And what I'm mostly concerned about right now is the SMV CC-56, as that tank will be able to chew me up pretty easily, and if I don't address it, he will be able to take me out before I could take him out, because last I know, he has full health. I have no idea the health is. I should have asked in the chat. As we can see throughout this battle, this Rudy USSR and the T-50-2 have been very talkative, very supportive, which has been helpful. This T-43 shows up, and I'm like, great, okay, good. One more tank where I know where he is. I don't go charging after him, because I don't know where this SMV is. I'm expecting him, again, to come around the north road. And as I don't see him when I cross, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to push up into here. So I can entrench myself, I can control the engagement, I'll know where everyone is, and with my decent gun depression in the Nergal that it is, I'll be able to shoot down at them, and they will have a somewhat difficult time shooting up into me, hopefully. I don't want to go all the way to the point of this little outcropping. I want to go to the side here, so I don't get spotted immediately, but I do end up getting spotted, proxy spot of the T-43. And again, I'm still looking to my left, expecting this SMV to shoot me in the side, or to try and do something, so I leave the T-43 alone, as I know it's going to take him a second. I've got him lit, and I want to get a little bit more entrenched, try and get some information, decide, okay, I'm safe up here, the SMV can't shoot me if he decides to show up. I'm going to sit here for a second, gather my bearings, see what this T-43 is doing. Now, in hindsight, maybe I should have been more aggressive, but I knew I only could probably take about 2 shots from the SMV, so I didn't want to give him a free shot by just charging after him and then the SMV showing up right after I finish off the T-43. And again, I'm not aggressively pushing here because I'm concerned for the SMV that could come around the corner at any second, potentially at full health. And then I take a little bit of risk there by auto-aiming. Luckily, it pans out for me. And we'll see here that this Rudy really wants me to go take the cap, and that's my plan. But I didn't have time to really respond to him and explain what I was doing. But what I'm doing, again, is to try and get all the information I can before going and advancing onto their cap. I want to make sure my cap is secure and that I'm not going to push around a corner and be surprised by this SMV, because again, I don't know where he is. So as I say, I'm going to go peek up here, try and get a quick look to see if he's coming from the middle, if he's coming from the right, or I should say if he's coming from the west, or if he's coming across the bridge. And a pebble stops me, and I see nothing. And I'm like, okay, I have 440. It takes 1:45 to cap. Nothing's still showing up. Okay, I can go to cap. And I know I can get down this fairly safely due to the tracks protruding so far in front of my tank that I believe, and I could be wrong on this, that it's very difficult to take falling damage like that, since my tracks virtually protect the front of my tank from doing anything, and they kind of act as meat shields. I pause right here just for a split second to see if I spot him. He spots me, and he doesn't. So my goal is to get to their cap as quickly as I can, but safely. And hence why I was a little cautious there. I'm going to be a little cautious here crossing, because the SMV, to my knowledge, was last seen in this area. So I'm crossing. I'm not getting spotted. I'm not getting spotted. I still don't see him. Okay, still don't see him. I thought I would see him by now. He's not under the bridge. I would have proxied him. Okay, I don't see him, so I'm just gonna keep going along. Be a little cautious going around this corner. I'm trying to look back for no good reason. He's not like he could sneak up on me. And my goal, again, is to push their cap safely. And this SMV could be anywhere on the map, is anywhere on the map. And he likely doesn't know where I am either, as I was last seen defending my cap. So while I'm doing this, I'm like, if this SMV gets on my cap, like, I can't get back in time to save it, or at least I probably can't. Maybe I could have gotten there if I was very fast. Nonetheless, I push forward, still unspotted. Okay, maybe this SMV is sitting back where the artillery normally sit behind the cap, or he's sitting on top of this hill to my left, which the M4 is going to point out in a second. And so I decide, okay, it's 2:35. I only need that mini 45. I'm going to go look on top of this hill just to get my grounds covered, so that way if I push onto cap, if I were to push onto cap and he was up there, he would have gotten a free shot on me without me probably being able to return the fire, unless he decided to just full send it down the mountain or down this little hill, and I couldn't afford that. I needed to know, is he up here? Is he going to surprise me? I'm not spotted. Okay, he's not up here. I'm going to go down. I'm going to take this kind of wide, see if I can see anything as I'm coming down. I see nothing. The alarm rings. I'm like, okay, time to get on cap. I have time. And now I have to play the waiting game and see, is this SMV going to show up? Is he hiding in ambush? Is he waiting to get that defender medal by letting the time on the cap go way down? I don't know. I don't know at this point. And so I'm quite nervous. So I'm looking at both angles in front of me, assuming the SMV isn't behind me, hiding behind a rock. And I'm seeing nothing. I'm not seeing anything, any trees falling down. I'm not seeing any debris breaking, excuse me. And yeah, so I just sit here, and I have my tank pointed like this specifically, because if he shows up on either side, I can turn my tank fairly quickly to be able to get into an angled position, versus if I had been pointing directly at one flank or the other. And secondly, I wanted to be able to get my turret on him as fast as possible, so that way if he got a shot on me, I can return the shot and hope to just, get a nice trade there, and then engage him and try and get him to shoot at my tracks to make mistakes afterwards. We got 30 seconds left in the cap. I'm still not seeing this guy, and my heart's racing. I don't know where he is. He hasn't shown up, and I'm very confused as to why. And so I'm thinking, oh, he's got to be just waiting, or he's got to be really close to being here. So I'm just really focused, and my team is congratulating me on doing a well job, and I don't say anything because I'm very focused. Until that number hits 0, SMV never shows up, and I'm just very excited. I put in all caps yes, and that is how I got a Kalabanos in the Nergal in essentially a 1v5, which you could argue was a 1v7 there at the end, as I had to take out 2 tanks and then had to take out the other 5 tanks, which I never ran into the SMV, so really 4 tanks on the enemy team. And I was able to wrap this game up and get a win and show the power of the Nergal. So thank you for watching, and if you would have done something different, let me know in the comments. You guys have good games. Cheers.